Welcome to the Sibling Rivalry MMA Podcast. I'm your host, Nick Ellis, here with my brother, Brennan. And today we are joined by Indiana MMA legend, Chris Lytle. How you doing, Chris?
Good. How you guys doing, man?
Good. Just decided to get this podcast going. Before we start, I'll run through some accolades of Chris's. Former UFC fighter, 6-time Fight of the Night winner, 1-time KO of the Night winner, 3-time Submission of the Night winner, Ultimate Fighter runner-up. I thought he won it, but
thank you.
Runner-up.
Yeah, me too.
Along with a whole bunch of other things, 13-1-1 pro boxing and 3-0 in bare knuckle. Which are you still involved in that?
Man, I'm still involved, but I'm more of a commentator now. I just turned 45 the other day, and I just had wrist surgery from my last bare knuckle fight. So probably time to be done, man. I mean, I still got a few of these. I got about 3 or 4 brain cells fighting for control, and I want to keep them like that. You know, I want to be able to talk well, goodly, whatever the right word is. So.
Yeah, that's good. Good plan. Seems like you're doing good though. Could you tell a pretty big difference? You say you had to get wrist surgery. Could you really tell the difference on the impact of your hand, or?
You know, I had wrist problems for about 8 years before I started doing bare knuckle. So from all my years of UFC and pro boxing, my wrist was messed up. I just never dealt with it. But when I went back and started doing bare knuckle, it is tough. And I knew really quick I had to get a lot of shot of cortisone in my wrist. And eventually I was just like, this is probably messing me up long term. I need to fix the problem. And when I did, I'm like, man, I'm not healing as quick as I used to. It kind of sucks. So I'm just right now, I mean, unless something really awesome pops up, I'm probably not gonna do it anymore. I like commentary, man. It's fun. You can talk about other people getting hit.
You're kind of breaking up there. Then could you repeat the last little bit of that?
I'm sorry. I was just saying how I really like doing commentary. It's a lot more fun to talk about other people getting punched in the face.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, that's why we're doing this instead. But so you were talking about how you're wanting to stop doing it for your health and everything. That's one of the other things I wanted to ask you about. Is you're one of, it seems like, the few guys that kind of retired from MMA on your own terms. You know, you were still doing really well, beating pretty much everybody. So what are your opinions on a lot of the guys that keep retiring and coming back? Like, you know, BJ Penn's got a fight coming up, and everybody's, calling for him to retire. What are your thoughts on stuff like that?
BJ's actually fortunate this time. He's going to have a fight in the ring. I think in the last month he's had 3 or 4 fights outside the ring.
Yeah.
So got laid out once, but I mean, yeah, it's very unfortunate. Most of the fighters, like I said, they retire when they get knocked out 3 or 4 times in a row. You know, like I said, I was very fortunate. I won 5 out of my last 6 fights. I felt like I was fighting better than ever, but the other things in my life, I felt really guilty about not being at home very much. I have 4 kids. I just really wasn't being a very good father. I felt like it was time to dedicate more attention to that. Luckily, I was always pretty well rounded. I got out of the fire department. A lot of times I felt I had this fight. No kids, no other job.
Sorry, you're kind of breaking up again.
Dang it! So, like I said, a lot of these fighters don't have any other thing going on besides, the fighting. I had the fire department, and everything like that. So that really helped me. So, yeah, I really wish. Here's the biggest problem: when the fighters keep fighting, it's like they don't have a backup plan. There's nothing else going on. They need to have something else, set up for when the fights are over. You need to be done. Like you need to start setting up being involved with real estate or commentary or something, because they just don't have a good backup plan. I was talking with my old manager about that at one point. It's like, maybe we should come up with like a system for trying to get, a system for fighters and like give them a presentation. Like, hey, this is what you need to look forward to, and find that exit strategy so you don't have to fight when you're 48 and you're broken. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool if you could set that up. I mean, I'm sure it's hard to get people to listen to stuff like that too, especially when they're in the zone and doing all the stuff. But that would be really cool.
Yeah, you never think about the future until it's there. You're like, man, I got to find something else to do. Well, you should have been setting that up. They need somebody to tell them that, I believe, and maybe that guy could be me. I don't know. I have to come up with a better presentation to figure out how to guide people, but I'd like to.
Yeah, but you did always have a bunch of stuff going on, like you did the firefighting, and then you're still doing. Did you compete in this last jiu-jitsu, the connected submission, or were you just coaching in this one? It was a team thing, right?
I actually did it, man. It was not what I thought it was going to be, man. I thought it was going to be much like older UFC guys like myself. I was like the only guy in UFC there my team was. Everybody else was like straight jiu-jitsu. It was weird.
Yeah.
So they were good, man. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
and you did that submission underground thing a few years ago back, wasn't it? Against Jake Shields, like that thing Son made.
Yeah, it was. That was pretty funny, man. Shields got a hold of me, wanted to know if I would, go against Jake. And I was like, man, he's always been one of the best in the world. Of course, I'll do it. So it was fun though. It was a good time.
Yeah, it was a good match. It was cool. And then you have your own podcast as well, right?
Yeah, I do the Chris Lytle podcast sometimes. I haven't been doing it very much lately because I've been so busy. Like we talked about earlier, I've been doing so much with the B2 Fight series, and that's just like a developmental league. We're trying to get together with all the different states from the Midwest, take the best organizations there, and try and give people a path to the UFC or Bellator. It's tough when you live around here. A lot of people, they say, "Oh, I'm going to be good. I got to move down to American Top Team, or I need to move over to Greg Jackson's. Or California." Nobody sticks around here if they're really good. So we're trying to give people the opportunity where they can fight around here and still make it to the next level by fighting against the toughest guys in the Midwest. So, like I said, we just bought a fight organization in Iowa. Iowa's got some of the best wrestlers, toughest guys in the world.
Right.
Yeah, and similar to that, we had Casey Kenny on the other day, and he was pretty much saying the same thing. I asked him why he moved out of Indiana, and he moved out to Arizona, and he said basically the same thing, that there's just not that much going on in Indiana.
Exactly. That's been the biggest problem. And I talk to people from Alabama, they say the same thing. I talk to people from Iowa, they say the same thing. Well, we're trying to get all these people to work together, cross-promote, get the fighters to train with each other, fight in each other's organization, and we want to take the champs from all the organizations, have them fight, and the winner should be that's the best guy in the Midwest, man. He should be good enough to go to the next level, man.
Yeah. And you said you're talking about the B2 fighting. A good guy from your gym, Andrew Holbrook's going to be fighting on that card against Melvin Gallar. That's a really exciting fight.
Real excited. I mean, we got that. We got a guy named Cameron Van Camp versus a former UFC guy named Fitchin. So it's like, this is a big fight for Indiana. We got some big heavy hitters. Andrew Holbrook fought 5 times UFC. Melvin Gallar probably 10. I don't know. We got a lot of star power there, and we're wanting to show everybody that's what we're doing here, man. We're trying to get people to the next level. And this is like the starting point. This is not at all where we're going to be here soon. We're going to be much farther along. But, man, and starting next year, we're going to have some really good stuff going on. So we're just trying to lay the foundation right now, let everybody know we're here for real. We're going into Michigan here. We're going into Alabama. We're going into Tennessee. We got a lot of different places we're going into. And we're trying to get the best fighters from there and let them know when you fight for us, we're going to try and get you to where you want to be.
Yeah. So is Van Camp training over there with you guys now too?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that. Yeah, he's a tough guy too.
There's 3 Van Camps that fight also, aren't there?
There's only 2. I think 3 of them have, but I don't think one of them's doing it anymore. We got Cameron and Kellen right now. I think the older brother, I can't remember his name. I know he's had some fights, but he hasn't been training with us. So I hope he's not fighting if he's not training.
Yeah.
That's a recipe for disaster. It feels terrible when you're in there and you run out of gas and you're like, oh my God, I wish I went to the gym. So.
Yeah, I bet. And that card is October.
That card's October 18th up in Hammond, Indiana. Yeah.
And it's in Indiana?
Yeah, Hammond, Indiana.
Cool.
We're up by Chicago, but not too far away.
All right, yeah, we might try to go to that. That sounds cool.
That'd be awesome. But also, if you guys want, I'll get you some tickets on the 14th, almost 2 weeks, about a week and a half from now. We have one in Kokomo. Get a hold of me. You guys can. It's Coliseum Combat's 50th event. They're part of the B2 Fight series as well. Really good card, man. So we have that. Then on the 28th, I know I'm out in Iowa. I'm just busy every weekend going to some of these. It seems like.
Hell yeah, I love that. That sounds awesome.
That sounds great.
Yeah, I know you're busy, so I really do appreciate you giving us this time.
No, for sure though. Get a hold of me about if you don't have anything going on the 14th, come up to Kokomo.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Sure.
So Melvin Gallar is fighting Andrew Holbrook. You were just talking about BJ Penn getting in these fights, and I actually just about 10 minutes before we called you saw Melvin got in a bar fight and knocked 2 guys out.
Yeah.
So
I saw that. That was a while ago. I asked him about it. He said everything's all good now. I think he's in a low probation or something like that, but he's going to be all right. So, I don't really know exactly what happened with it. I've been friends with Melvin for a long time. I just hope he didn't get any trouble. It's just, come on, man, use your head.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad
he's winning his bar fights. Damn.
Yeah, at least he's winning them. That's
hey, if you lose those, it's type of, well, BJ got knocked out his last one that I saw, so that's not good.
Yeah, that's what we were saying. But good. I'm glad that's not going to mess up the fight or anything, because I literally just saw that right before we did this. I was like, oh, no. That was
that actually happened a while ago. I think that happened probably at least 6 months ago. I don't know. I saw it a while ago. So.
Okay, cool. And then let's see. I think that's most of what I wanted to ask you about. You had some questions too?
I got pretty much just one, really. Pretty much every fight you were in could have been like a legendary fight, back and forth brawls. Like Chris Lytle was for sure. You have to tune in and watch this guy every time. What was your favorite fight you had? Because you had some of the big, like really big wins, but you also had just a lot of crazy fights that were awesome to watch. So what was your favorite?
Man, I really appreciate that. And that was always my goal. It's like I just want to go out there and fight, put on good fights. I've won some fights that I wasn't super proud of, and I was like, man, I felt bad. I'd always want to. I felt better when I lost certain fights. Like when I fought Robbie Lawler the first time, that was one of my favorite fights because just going in there, everybody thought I had no chance. This guy's going to kill me, and it was just I was just like the sacrificial lamb set up for this young, the next future, stud. So I was like, I love that. I love being in that role where nobody thinks I can win. So. I like being in that fight, and I just kind of lost myself, and so did he. We just want to go in there and beat the crap out of each other. I didn't care who was watching. I really enjoyed that fight. I really enjoyed when I fought Thiago Alves, because we did the same thing. We're just like, he was trying to kick my leg, and I was trying to punch him in the face, and we're like, see, who's tougher? And whoever, like, I'd let him kick my leg as long as I could punch him as hard as I can. And at the end of the thing, he had a black and blue eye and had a bruised leg, and I got stopped because of a cut, but whatever. But it was a fun fight. But I really liked, probably one of my favorite was when I fought Dan. My last one, I fought Dan Hardy because a lot of people were telling me like, oh, you're fighting Dan, you better take him down. He's really good on his feet. And I remember I was like, what am I? What am I? Chopped liver? I mean, I'm a stand-up fighter too. You know what I mean? I'm not taking him down. I don't take anybody down. I do know how to wrestle, but I'm trying to knock his head off. I've never been knocked out, so I'm never going to try and take somebody down if I think I can knock them out eventually. So, and I got to bang with him for 3 rounds, and he shot in on me with about a minute left, and I got to choke him out and get the fight of the night and the sub of the night. That was an awesome one.
Yeah.
I remember watching that one. That was awesome. And then one more, after all that, who do you think the best fighter you ever fought was? Because you went up against Matt Hughes, Robbie, Diaz, I mean, all kinds of legends. Who do you think the best guy that you ever fought was?
That's tough, man. They were all good in different ways, man. Diaz was just so good all around, slick, tough. I would probably say like Matt Hughes was a lot more skilled than I gave him credit for. I thought he was a pure wrestler. I remember I went out. I don't know if I would say he's the best overall fighter because I think his stand-up was lacking. But as far as doing what he did, like he could get me down, and I could not really do much from it. I remember I was able to stop him from doing anything. I remember looking up the ref, but he had me sideman. I was like, nothing's happening here. And he was like, you got to get up. I was like, oh, this sucks. He was so good at I remember I had a real good choke on it at one point. I said, I got this guy. And he did a good job. He didn't even try to fight the choke. He just controlled my left leg because my right leg was positioned where I could push him away. But my left leg, I had to get both of them to push him away. And he had all his weight on my left leg where I couldn't move it. So I was like, all I'm doing is wasting arm strength right now. And he knows it. And he's just waiting for me to get tired. So I had to give up my choke and let him get Simon. It sucked. So he was really a lot better than I gave him credit for, and I think a lot of people do. Everybody saw him doing his ground and pound technique, but he's like an 8-time UFC champ for a reason. The dude's legit.
Yeah,
for sure.
And then aside from all, some of my favorite moments of yours, aside from all the exciting fights, because they're all exciting fights. The Matt Brown, we had that double submission. That was one of the coolest things ever. I remember when I watched that live, and I was like, how the hell did he even do that?
What's funny is when I got out of my UFC contract for one fight because they put on a fight at Indianapolis. And I fought Matt Brown. It was funny because I was going to fight some local guy in the UFC. He's like, oh, no, we've heard of this guy. We don't want you to fight him. And then we said, how about Matt Brown? They go, okay. Like, nobody ever heard of Matt Brown at the time. My guy got me the fight. He was like 11-6 or something at the time. I was like, yeah, let's kill this guy, you know. And then I started looking into him, like, all 6 guys who beat him were good, you know. I was like, this might be tougher than I thought.
Yeah.
But then, man, he was a tough fight. I was like, I didn't like it at all. It was really tough. Then he got in the UFC and started dominating. And he fought a friend of mine named Pete Sells and just beat the brakes off him, knocked him out. And as soon as that happened, I called my manager. I was like, I want to fight him again because I want to fight him in the UFC. He looks really good. And those are the type of fights I wanted. Fights where guys came to take your head off because I'm going to do the same. And then, you know, I got him in that double submission. I was so happy because I thought it was going to get me the submission of the night. And then Brock Lesnar gets beat up on by Shane Carwin for a round. And then he just does like the basic wrestler choke and choked him. And they gave him the sub of the night. I was so mad. I was like,
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That was the same night that Lieben submitted Akiyama too, right?
Exactly. So, yeah, because I thought for sure I had it. Then I saw Lieben do it. I was like, uh-oh. And then I saw, you know, the other one. I was like, man, I'm not going to get it. And they gave him $70,000 for that. I was like, Brock Lesnar, that didn't even pay for his growth hormone that year.
Yeah.
I could have used that.
Yeah. Oh, you got screwed because I remember I saw that submission of yours get put on. It was like the top 20 submissions in UFC history, and I was really glad you got that credit because it was really cool.
Hey, you know what submission wasn't on? You know what submission wasn't on there? Brock Lesnar's choke. That wasn't on
exactly.
there.
All right. Anything else?
Nah, you guys ready to get in these predictions?
Yeah,
Some predictions, man.
All right. You want to start from the bottom and go up? We're just going to do the card.
All right. First fight on this main card, we got Mirbek Taisumov versus Carlos Diego Ferreira. I'm going with Taisumov on this. He's a lot faster, better footwork. I think he's just going to stay on the outside, pick him apart, avoid the brawl. And he has really good wrestling defense. In his last few fights, people have tried to take him down a lot. Haven't been successful. I think if Ferreira has any chance here, he's got to make it a brawl and basically just catch him or maybe get to the ground, but I don't think he'll be able to. So I'm going to go with Taisumov, probably by decision, just picking him apart the whole fight.
Okay. What you got, Chris?
Have you guys noticed a theme in a lot of these fights recently that you're naming off here? It seems like it's like Brazilian versus like Eastern Bloc Russian type thing, you know, like.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've noticed, like in my opinion, like some of these toughest guys out there right now, a lot of these Russian guys, I want nothing to do with them if I'm fighting, man. They're tough. I've fought them before. I don't like them. You can't hurt them. They're smart enough now where they don't get submitted easily. I'm with you, man. I think he's going to win. I'm going with the Eastern Bloc people on not all of them, but on this one for sure. You're right. I'm going with. I agree.
What about you?
This one's actually the one that I had the hardest time picking. I wanted to pick Diego Ferreira just because I don't know, he was my underdog that I wanted to pick, and they both have kind of similar records. Mirbek is on a 6-fight win streak. Ferreira is on a 4-fight win streak, and he's had really good competition. But then I went back and watched some of Mirbek's fights, and man, he hits so hard. He's just dropping everybody, and I think I'm gonna have to go with him too.
Hasn't he won like 5 out of the last 6 by knockout too, or something?
I think so. Yeah.
I think he's 6-0 in the UFC. So
he knocked out Felipe Silva, and he's coming off a win over Desmond Green, who's a really tough guy too.
Yeah, Desmond Green is really athletic, man. I mean, So that was the deciding factor. I looked at it was just how much he's been knocking people out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he hits hard as shit. All right. Next, Curtis Blades and Shamil Abdur.
Don't even need to try to pronounce that. That's
yeah.
I'm gonna go with Curtis Blades here. This is probably my easiest pick of the night. Shamil got taken down, mounted, and finished by Timothy Johnson, who was no Curtis Blades. I don't know. I think this fight's just tailored for Blades to go out there, take him down, and dominate him.
I couldn't, man. I'm not trying to follow what you're saying, but I couldn't agree more on this one. I mean, Curtis Blades is a big man. He's a beast. He's been on a tear. He's, a couple hiccups here lately, but he's still a beast. And like you're saying, you're getting taken down and mounted by lesser people than this. I mean, unless Blades just something happened where he's done with, I don't think that's the case. I think this, like you're saying, it's probably like the easiest pick that I'm seeing here. I think he wins that one easily.
Yeah, he's the biggest favorite on the card, and I mean, there's that. Yeah, he's minus 450 favorite, and I think a lot of times he gets overlooked. So I'm glad he's getting some recognition here. But his only 2 losses are to Francis Ngannou. I mean,
and yeah, he's pretty tough. I don't know if you guys realize that.
Yeah, he's got wins over Justin Willis, Overeem, Hunt, Olenek. I mean, yeah. So Curtis Blades
all day. All right. Next one, we got Islam Makhachev versus Davi Ramos. I think this one is actually tougher than most people do. Islam's a pretty big favorite, and I'm gonna go with Islam. He fights similar to Habib, takes guys down from clinch, weird throws, stays on top, controls, grounds and pound. Has a lot of different submissions. I've seen he submitted guys with arm bars, rear nakeds, triangles, inverted triangles. But this Davi Ramos dude is a legit black belt world champion grappler. He has 3 wins in the UFC by rear naked choke. So if he's able to get on top, I think he has a real good chance to win the fight, obviously. But I'm going to go with Islam. I think he has better stand-up, and he's going to get to the ground, and I think he'll stay on top and probably win a somewhat boring decision, to be honest.
You know, I'm going to ask to go first next time because I'm tired of following. This is another one where I was looking at, and I was thinking, man, I mean, Islam to me, this kind of goes back to what I talked about earlier. These tough rushes. I don't think you're going to submit him. If you're not going to submit him, he's going to beat you up. So that's what I'm thinking. And I don't think he will get submitted. So I think he wins the fight based on that. If a submission happens, I think, he will lose. But I don't think a submission is going to happen. And I think he'll win.
Yeah. They both got 7 submissions each. I think Islam's probably going to be a little bit better on the feet and probably be able to stop the takedowns if he wants to.
And yeah, those top AKA guys, the guys that train out of there, I can't think of a time any of them have really been submitted. I mean, Habib, Cormier, Kane. Well, Kane got tapped, but I mean, Islam's probably going to be right there with them. They obviously know their shit on the ground. So
yeah, he's actually never been taken down.
Jesus, who tapped Kane?
Verdum, a long time ago.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so Islam's never been taken down, so it's really, I think it's going to be up to him where the fight goes. So I'm going with him too. We usually don't agree on everything, by the way.
I was going to say, I'm disagreeing next time no matter what.
Okay, you go first.
Well, you're
yeah.
I
want
will go first.
Boza and Felder.
I'm going to go with Felder in this, and I'm hoping that might be an underdog. But, Boza, he's really, man, that dude's good. He's quick. He's accurate. Very good stand-up. Felder's not going to try and take you down either. But I think Felder's way underrated. I love the way he fights. He's a beast. He's a hard hitter. He's got a good chin. He's just a gritty, tough Irish, man. I love him in this fight. Last time I checked, it was pretty close to even odds, but he was a slight underdog. That was going to be my underdog pick right there, Feldman all the way. Or Felder, sorry.
Yeah. So you did disagree with us on this one. I think we both went with Barboza.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's hear why. Let me hear it.
Yeah, it's a close fight. I don't know. Barboza won the last time, and I don't know how much. I mean, I do think Felder has been looking better, but I don't think too much has changed. Barboza has, he's been losing a little bit lately, but I still just think he's better standing up, and he really just loses to guys that are just have much better wrestling than him, and I don't really see that happening here. But we'll see.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Barboza too. I think if you don't have that forward pressure, stay in his face kind of fight style, it's hard to beat because he can throw those kicks from everywhere. But if you're right in his face, pushing him backwards, it's hard for him to get those kicks off. But I don't think Felder has that type of pressure that Habib and Gaethje and Kevin Lee had. So I think if it's just a stand-up fight, I don't really think I could pick anybody against Barboza, to be honest. I think you got to be right in his face.
Just got knocked out though too.
Was that by Gaethje?
Yeah.
Man, can that dude put on good fights or what?
Yeah,
he fights.
Here's the problem. He said it himself. He's not going to be around long. He's going to be a shooting star. You can't fight like that and continue unless you would have some major problems. So I'm glad to see he understands that. I mean, they're fun to watch, but Jesus, can he block a punch? Was anything besides his face?
Yeah.
He's Homer Simpson.
He got Homer Simpson syndrome.
He is a beast, though. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Barboza. I think he's looking big, man. He looks bigger than usual. And I think has he got a new team? Is he not training over in Jersey anymore?
Nah, he's not with Mark Henry anymore. I'm not sure where he's at though.
So we'll see if that helps him or hurts him. I mean, I think Mark Henry.
He hasn't been with Mark Henry for
Oh, really?
bit, though.
Okay. So
It's
I
been
didn't
like
know
a
that.
year.
He's a lot of fun to watch. So like I said, he's
Yeah.
amazing how accurate and fast his lightning-like strikes. I just think Felder, I think he's going to get him this time.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely possible. I'm not
I wouldn't be
super
that
confident on
surprised.
this one, but I'm
I
going
like
to go with
Felder. But
Barboza.
Felder lost to Mike Perry, so I can't pick him.
Yeah.
All right. So main event. This is a really interesting fight. You want to go first again?
Sure. You know, I think I'm not sure what the line is on this one. I think Poirier has a better chance than I think people would think. If I'm betting though my money, I'm definitely going to go with Khabib. I don't see there's a one or two guys who I could see. You know, the fight I really want to see is Tony Ferguson versus. I think Tony Ferguson offers a lot of problems. Way more than Poirier. Poirier, though, he's been impressed with those last few fights. He's done a lot better than I thought was even possible. He's elevated to a point where I didn't think he was going to be. But that being said, I keep thinking I'm always waiting for the other him to show up. I mean, has he elevated his game 100%? He's much better, I think. I just don't think he can stop Khabib from getting him to the ground. That's where I think Tony Ferguson can do more, and that's a fight I'm waiting for. But these are the kind of fights that sneak up on you, though. So I think Poirier has a better chance than I think, but I don't see him winning it right now. What about you guys?
So I just looked at the odds. I was wrong earlier. Curtis Blades is not the biggest favorite. Khabib is minus 500. I didn't see that earlier.
Yeah.
Because I didn't even look at the odds. Holy shit.
They shouldn't be that bad.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to be that bad.
I wouldn't bet 500 to 1. I wouldn't bet 500 on it.
Yeah.
There's no way. I mean, 500 to win 100. No, I mean, because he's a live underdog, but I don't think he has. If I'm betting, I'm probably not taking this one, but I'm definitely not betting. If I would bet, I probably would bet on Poirier, actually, because I think if you're a 5 to 1 underdog, I'll take it, but I don't think he's going to win, probably.
Yeah. We both went with Khabib, too. I just don't see. I mean, Poirier has been looking great. I didn't pick him to beat Holloway, but this is a totally different matchup here, obviously. I don't think Poirier's fought anybody that uses their wrestling like Khabib does. He's fought good wrestlers, but wrestlers that like to stand up, too, and fight. So, yeah, I don't really see how Poirier could win unless he just catches them. I mean, he can in the later rounds maybe, but I think if Poirier is going to, I don't even think he should try to sprawl. I think he just needs to keep his distance. I mean, sprawl if he has to, but I watched some of that Daniel Cormier breaking down the Khabib and Conor fight and how he set up that overhand right that dropped Conor and how he made it look like it was a shot.
Yeah.
That's what Poirier is going to have to look out for because he's going to be nervous about the wrestling, obviously, just like everybody else. And so.
I mean, in my opinion, I would disagree with you in one aspect. I don't think people are going to knock out Khabib later in the fight. I think his style, you have to knock him out early because his style is such, when he gets you down, he wears you out. And it's so much harder to land that big punch when you're worn out. I think the best chance to knock him out is early when he's cold, hit him with a good punch. Now, that could happen. That's how I think Poirier has a chance of winning. Later in the fight, I don't think he has a chance of winning. I think if it goes past 2 rounds, he's done.
Yeah.
So I think this is actually a really close fight once I looked and broke it down. So I think if Poirier has any chance, again, he needs to get in Khabib's face, kind of like I was saying with Felder and Barboza, get in his face. Because if a wrestler is backing up and on his back foot the whole time, it's hard to step and get a good penetration step and shoot. And another thing, Khabib doesn't really shoot from open space much besides that low single on Conor. He likes to get you against the cage, shoot from there, clinch you in there. If Dustin can keep Khabib's back against the cage and move forward with his boxing, then I think he has a chance. I think Khabib's probably going to take him down first 2 rounds. And then Khabib tends to stand and box with you.
I don't think that's going to happen this time.
No, I think it will. Because what Khabib does, wrestling is so tiring. And Khabib tires people out the first 2 rounds, so then he stands with them, he's confident. But Khabib does that too because he's tired as well. He's getting a break there. And when I watch him box, he stands still. He doesn't move his feet. And when him and Conor were exchanging, Conor let that happen. Conor stood still, didn't move his feet, and they just traded blows. I think if Dustin can move around and pick him apart there, we'll see something different that we haven't seen when he fought Al and when he fought Conor. But I still don't think it's going to be enough. I'm still going to go with Khabib. But I think we're going to see some moments. I think Dustin's going to win a couple rounds.
Boy, I hope. I mean, maybe I'm just a hater, but I don't like to see anybody undefeated. That's the beauty of this sport is you don't have a lot of guys with padded records who just don't fight anybody. They gonna make you fight people here, and so eventually you're gonna fight somebody you're gonna lose, and that's what we all want to see is the best matchup. It's not necessarily somebody lose at all times, but there's just something a little bit about it. I mean, this sport, there's so many different ways to win, and if you fight everybody, eventually, usually, I think you're gonna lose. So I don't know if this is the fight. Like I said, I'm really looking forward to. Hopefully, Tony Ferguson can get his mind right and get in there and get this fight at some point. But
yeah,
I'll take Poirier if I have to.
Well, I want to see Khabib win so he does fight Tony. I want to see that fight really bad. So
exactly.
But all right, this is what I want to disagree with you about the wrestling, though, is that his dad's going to be in his corner this time, and I think he's going to make him wrestle. I think he's going to listen to him because his team's always telling him to go for the takedowns, get to the ground, and not stand up. But
you don't know his dad, though? His dad might be cool with it.
I don't think so. That's not what it seems like.
Well, Nick, I like what you were saying there. It was like that's exactly what Conor does, or not Conor. I mean, he after he gets him tired, like, if people are 100% and fresh and ready to go, he's in trouble on his feet. But once he wears them down, now they're in his world. You know what I mean? And when they don't have that explosiveness, his stand-up is probably constant, about the same speed, and theirs is slowed down. So he looks a lot better as they get tired. That's why I was saying, if you get him past the first two, if he gets you the first two rounds, usually you're so tired from that pressure style wrestling, you're in trouble, man. I mean, unless somebody's taking some EPO or some kind of stuff, they have more energy than I've ever seen. They're in trouble after they get past the first two rounds.
Yeah. All right. I think that's all we got. Anything you want to say before we go?
Hey, man, I appreciate you guys doing this. You guys have a great history behind yourselves. I love watching you guys wrestle and everything. So I'm glad you guys are doing this. I look forward to seeing you guys come to the fights. If you get a chance, please get a hold of me. Let me know. I'd love to see you guys out there, and keep up the good work, fellas.
Awesome, man. I really appreciate that. That's really nice of you. And obviously, we always liked watching you fight, and
cool.
Really appreciating you coming on and doing this with us.
Anytime, fellas. Let me know.
All right. See ya.
Thanks.
See you guys.